Welcome into BLTV Channel 6. I'm Brian Kell. We've invited quite a few candidates to the Channel 6 studios here over the past few weeks for contested races on the May 3rd primary, and this is one of those instances as we invite Brandon Griffin, who's running for Van Buren and White County General Sessions Judge. Mr. Griffin, thanks for coming in.
Thank you, Mr. Kell. It's a real pleasure to be here this morning.
Tell us about you.
So I'm a White County native, born and raised. Graduated White County High School in 2006. Went on to Tennessee Tech, where I graduated with high honors in 2010. Then went on to law school at the University of Memphis. Graduated top quarter of my class there in 2013. Passed the bar first time I took it, and been practicing law in Sparta ever since. So I've been practicing law since 2013.
Good deal. So outside of a law degree, what do you feel like qualifies you to be able to run for and accept, if you should win, this position?
So obviously I've done a lot of work in the General Sessions Court, so I've got 8 years of experience now. I have a relatively large law firm for the area, so I have 3 attorneys that work for me. I've got 5 staff members. We've got an office, our main office is in Sparta. We've also got an office here in McMinnville. So the fact that I've been able to oversee several different attorneys, several different staff members, that administrative ability is, I think, what sets me apart from my competition. And, you know, I'll be upfront with you, all my competitors are good people. They're all perfectly good lawyers, and it's a tough race. And the voters certainly have a very tough choice to make on May the 3rd. But I'm hoping that ultimately, at the end of the day, they'll think that I'm the right choice.
Yeah. There's a lot of Latin terms that get thrown around in the court system and even philosophy, I guess, of a judicial sort. Well, can you explain your judicial philosophy in plain English to somebody watching this right now?
So my philosophy is to always look at the black and white of the law, and to make sure that whenever you're approaching somebody with a case, that you give them their full options. Take time to explain what those options may mean. For example, you know, in a criminal case, people have the right to preliminary hearing. Most people don't know what that is. So I would take the time to lay down what that is. That, you know, you have the right to cross-examine witnesses if you want. You have the right to testify, and it's a probable cause standard. Same thing will be true with divorces. Make sure people understand the burden of proof that they would have, and to make sure that they understand they'd have the right to an attorney, continuance to get counsel, and make sure that they're just properly dealt with. And I really believe that if the court shows people respect up front, you won't see as many issues with people. They'll feel like they were treated well, and that business will get done in a timely and efficient manner.
How do you balance being an elected official and also an independent judge? Talk about that balance there.
So, well, this is my first time running, so, you know, I'll be learning that a little bit if I'm lucky enough to be elected. But the way I would look at it is that you will have to make sure that you don't tie yourself up into conflicts. So make sure that you don't put yourself into places where people that would be coming before you would regularly be. But at the same time, you need to make sure that the people know who you are and they understand what you stand for. So if I'm elected, I still want to be involved in the community. I still like to go to all the fire hall breakfasts, go to all the different charity events, 4-H fundraisers, things of that nature. So that way people can come and ask me any questions they have, you know, hey, how's the courts doing? Or, you know, how have you guys been handling these sort of issues? And I would like to be able to sit down and hopefully break bread with them and have a candid conversation about that.
What are the biggest changes that you think need to be made to our justice system?
So, in particular, with the General Sessions Court that we currently have, and you know, Judge Sam's done a great job. So I'm not sitting here critiquing him really, but one thing that we really need to do, and we're technically supposed to be doing, is to close off the juvenile courts. That means we take those juvenile cases one at a time. That's something I'm looking to do. And it's a bigger issue in Van Buren than it is in White, because sometimes we'll have the juvenile dockets and the criminal dockets together. So we see some young juveniles that have family members that are older that are on the adult docket. They're on the juvenile docket. They want to try to, you know, show that they're tough too, to Uncle Larry or whoever. And I feel like if we can split those two apart, that'll help a little bit with that situation. One of the other things that we're struggling with right now is the mental health crisis that we've got. And in particular with veterans, I'd like to see a veterans court be established. That's something I'm hoping to be able to do, to work with between White County and Van Buren County. And of course, I'll have to work with the circuit judges to make something like that happen. But certainly a program I think would be very beneficial in dealing with that mental health issue.
You talked about trying to stay away from situations that would bring about conflicts of interest or something like that. How do you handle conflicts of interest?
So if if I see there's a situation where I know that I couldn't be fair or neutral on it, I would recuse myself and ask for one of the other General Sessions judges to come in and take my place and roll on that case. At the same time, obviously, if a General Sessions judge, let's say, for example, you guys have Mr. Moore that's about to be your General Sessions judge down here, and I believe he's uncontested.
Correct.
So he will be the next judge. I would call up Mr. Moore and say, hey, I've got this conflict on this case. Or if nobody could agree to a new judge, we would put it down to the administrative office of the courts for them to appoint a neutral judge, which would probably still be one of the surrounding counties, just because of the administrative troubles of going too far out. But I will make sure to strive to maintain good relationships with all the other surrounding county judges so that we can do that by interchange if there's any problems like that. And that's really comes down to your judge. You've got to have a judge that's going to be honest and say, hey, I know this guy. I can't make a fair ruling on this. I'm going to have to recuse myself and get somebody else to come in and take that over.
I guess a two-parter here. How would you define injustice? And then the second part of that is, how would you deal with injustice in your courtroom?
So, injustice to me would be any sort of situation where a person is coming into a court of law and they're not receiving fairness or impartiality from their bench. So how I would deal with that is, obviously, if I feel like let's say, for example, law enforcement was not doing things properly. If they're violating the Fourth Amendment, I'm going to suppress stuff. In the event if there's an individual that's coming in, and let's say there's some outside influences in the court, I would recuse myself if it was something where I didn't feel like I could be fair and impartial to make sure that person gets their fair day in court. But really the big thing is I can tell you that I'm going to be fair and impartial. I've never liked in my career when I go to other courts, and I'm not saying it's here, I'm not saying it's in White County or Van Buren, but I have been further afield, and I went to some courts where the pecking order of attorneys seemed to make a bigger difference in the outcome than necessarily the facts. And I can tell you that that's one of the main reasons I'm running. I don't want to see something like that happen. And I want to make sure that people come into court, their case is decided based on what the facts are of that case and the law that's applied to it, and nothing beyond that. So, who your attorney is, obviously you need to make sure it's somebody that's competent and good, but just because this is, so-and-so's cousin or what have you is not going to determine who's going to win a case.
Well, we appreciate you coming to BLTV Channel 6, and I guess for this last part, if you would just maybe address the person out there that's watching that would need to know why they would need to vote for you for General Sessions Judge in Van Buren and White County.
Yes, so just to tell you a little bit more about myself, I was born and raised in Sparta, and of course I've got my lovely wife and my daughter there, and we live in Finley subdivision. I've got deep roots in the community. I've had my business here, and we've been very blessed to have grown that business over the last few years, and I care deeply about this community. So if I'm elected to serve you, I will come in every day and put my full heart into the job. The other thing is, my personal belief is that the General Sessions judge is a public servant. So sometimes we'll see courts where the judge kind of gets this mentality that the community serves him, not the other way around. And I promise you I'm going to be mindful of that and to make sure that that never creeps in on me. And also, just a little bit more about my background. My dad built houses, and my mom's a teacher. So Dad always had me working, carrying block, brick, putting up cabinets. So I'm no stranger to hard work. I'll make sure that I work however many hours we need to get through the cases and to make sure that everybody gets their fair day in court, and if their case gets the time that's appropriate for it. Additionally, I'm no stranger to technology, and I'm looking forward to implementing some technology into the courtroom. Not for everything. If we're doing preliminary hearings, we're doing contested trials on divorces, custody, stuff like that. I want to see those people in person. But for like an agreed upon divorce, a traffic ticket where you're just coming in to maybe like plead to some speeding, I'll be happy to do those things by Zoom for people that are out of town. So that way I can be a little bit more technologically friendly than some of the courts in the area are. And I want to make sure that basically everybody's business gets handled efficiently and fairly. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Brandon Griffin, candidate for White County and Van Buren County General Sessions Judge. Thank you for joining us here at BLTV Channel 6.
Thank you very much.
All right.
I appreciate your vote.
There you go. Appreciate your vote from Brandon Griffin there. We want to thank you for watching this on BLTV Channel 6. May 3rd, primary election coverage can be found right here on Channel 6 starting at 7 p.m. We'll also have the ability to be able to watch that on Facebook Live and also on our YouTube channel. So lots of different ways for you to be able to catch our primary coverage here at BLTV Channel 6. Until we catch you later on, we bid you adieu, and thanks for watching BLTV.